The clang of metal echoed through the long, narrow barracks, the cold cement floor carrying the sound of boots like the drumbeat of war. The air was thick with sweat, dust, and tension. Somewhere down the hall, a muffled cry broke the silence. Then came the laughter, sharp, mocking, cruel. It was the kind of laughter that cut deeper than any knife, the kind of laughter that told you someone had just been humiliated in a way they would never forget. In that moment, the base learned a lesson it would carry for years to come. But not the lesson they thought. Colonel Sarah Mitchell was not supposed to break. She had served her country with honor, earned her rank through blood, sweat, and sacrifice, and carried herself with the iron composure of a woman who had survived every storm. Yet that night, in a shocking act of disrespect, her own soldiers had grabbed her, held her down, and shoved her head into a toilet. The icy, foul-smelling water choked her lungs. The porcelain rim bruised her skin, and the laughter of men she commanded echoed like gunfire in her ears. When they released her, dripping and humiliated, they thought they had destroyed her. They thought the mighty colonel would never recover from such disgrace. They were wrong. Sarah walked back to her quarters that night in silence. Her uniform clung to her body, soaked and heavy, and every step she took was a battle against rage, pain, and the urge to collapse. She did not scream. She did not cry. She did not report the men to higher command. She only stared at herself in the mirror when she reached her room. Her face was pale, her eyes burning with fire, and water still dripped from her hair down onto the tiles. For the first time in years, she felt the sting of humiliation cut deep into her bones. But beneath that sting grew something stronger, something unshakable. It was not weakness that filled her that night. It was resolve. The next morning, the base awoke to find Sarah standing on the training field before sunrise. Her uniform was crisp, her boots polished, her expression harder than steel. The bruises on her face were visible, but she carried herself with the authority of a commander who refused to bend. She called her soldiers to the field, her voice sharp and commanding. The recruits lined up, some still smirking from the previous night's prank, certain they had put her in her place. They had no idea what was coming. Sarah did not speak of the humiliation. Instead, she put them through the harshest training they had ever faced. Under the scorching sun, she made them run until their lungs burned, crawl under barbed wire until their uniforms tore, and carry heavy logs until their arms felt like breaking. Mud caked their bodies, sweat drenched their faces, and exhaustion clouded their minds. Yet Sarah pushed them harder, her own body enduring every task alongside them. She did not stand aside in command. She carried logs. She crawled through mud. She lifted, sweated, and bled beside them. By noon, most of the men were trembling, collapsing, begging for mercy. Sarah remained unbroken. Every time a soldier faltered, she reminded them of strength. Every time someone groaned, she told them that true resilience was not about pride or laughter, but about standing tall when the world tried to bury you. The recruits who had mocked her the loudest now looked at her with something different in their eyes. Not amusement, not arrogance, but fear, and beneath that fear, the slow, steady growth of respect. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Sarah gathered the soldiers once more in the courtyard. The same place where she had been humiliated. The same ground where their laughter had echoed. Her voice was steady but carried a weight that silenced every whisper. She told them that what happened last night could have broken her. She admitted that shame could destroy a person if they allowed it to cling to their soul. But she told them she had made a choice, not to be defined by humiliation but to rise above it. And then, in front of the entire base, she did something that stunned them all. Sarah walked into the restroom where the act had taken place. She opened the stall door, faced the same toilet where her head had been forced down, and without hesitation, dunked her own head into the water. Gasps filled the room as she pulled her face up, dripping once more, but this time her eyes shone with fire. She looked at the recruits and told them that water could not break her, that humiliation could not define her, and that a true soldier was never defeated by disgrace. A true soldier chose to rise again and again, no matter how far they were pushed down. In that single act, Sarah transformed the shame meant to destroy her into a symbol of resilience. The recruits who had once mocked her stood in silence, unable to meet her gaze. For the first time, they understood what real strength looked like. And from that day on, the base changed forever. The soldiers who had plotted against her became the ones who trained the hardest. They carried her lessons into every mission, every drill, every moment of service. Years later, Many of them admitted that night was the turning point of their lives, the moment they stopped being boys in uniform and truly became soldiers. Sarah's act of defiance, her refusal to be broken, had etched itself into their hearts. Colonel Sarah Mitchell became more than a leader. She became a legend. Her story spread beyond the base, told in whispers and retellings as an example of courage, honor, and the kind of resilience that inspires generations. And though the memory of that night would never leave her, she carried it with pride. For it was not a story of humiliation, but of triumph. Strength is not about never falling. Strength is about rising higher after you have been shoved down. That was Sarah's lesson, and it became the lesson of everyone who served under her command. If this story touched your heart, if it made you feel the weight of resilience and the power of never giving up, then I ask you to support this channel. Subscribe, like, and share this story so others can be reminded that no matter what humiliation or struggle life throws at us, we can rise above it. Your support helps us bring more powerful emotional stories like this to you. Before we end, I want to ask you something special. Take a moment and share your thoughts in the comments. Tell us if this story inspired you. Tell us if it reminded you of your own struggles and triumphs, or simply write what strength means to you. Your words might touch someone else's heart the way this story touched yours. And remember, no matter how many times life tries to shove you down, you always have the power to rise again.